Welcome as we continue our series of practical guide of Islamic laws of inheritance. I want to say a few words about how to spend money while you're alive, because you have much more liberty and flexibility of how you deal with your money while you're alive. Once you die, we have to follow the prescriptive method of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if there are people who you want to give money to, if there are certain heirs that you think they need more financial help, just give them in your life. Don't wait for your death, because then you can only play with a certain set of rules. So if some child or some family member is in extra need or is deprived or whatever health issues they have, or they may be handicapped or something, if you want to give them something, give them now. Name some property under their name. Give them the legal ownership of it while you're still alive. So you have more flexibility. But keep in mind that Prophet ﷺ favored justice and equity among children. Once a companion came to the Prophet who wanted to give a big piece of their land to one small child. And Prophet asked, "Do you have other children, and have you given them something else?" And he said, "No." So Prophet said, "I won't be a witness to this injustice." Now in that case, there was no reason to give one child so much. In certain scenarios, you might feel that there's a need for one child that the other does not have. Maybe someone again is handicapped or is financially struggling, and while other children are doing well and are well established and financially stable. So it is okay to see who needs what and be equitable in your distribution. It doesn't have to be equality, it could be equity. But again, keep the idea of justice in mind, because sometimes these matters become a sticking bone in the siblings and after your death. But keep in mind that sometimes these financial issues become something that can raise conflicts among siblings after your death as well. So be clear, whoever you want to give them in your life. And what you cannot do is give something to someone in your life and say, well, this was your inheritance. Now you're not going to get any share from your inheritance later on. Unfortunately, this is very common among some certain cultures, that people give their daughters a lot of dowry at the time of their wedding and say that now your share of inheritance is done. All the inheritance will go to the sons. This is wrong. Whatever you give in life is a gift, and that cannot deprive someone from their inheritance shares. So this is how you want to plan your financial matters with your children. Another thing in the life that you could consider is having shared properties. For example, if you've been living in one house with your spouse and you want your spouse to continue living in the house after you die, but you know that the spouse's share is probably not enough to retain the whole house, then you can always consider making the house a shared property in your life. If you want to give them the whole house, give it to them. Or you can have a shared ownership, so that when the time of inheritance comes and one of the spouse has died, it's only the half of the value of the house that's at stake for distribution to other relatives, and the spouse can continue living or still have a lion's share, because of that's their own ownership, not inheritance. That's their own ownership now, because the decision was made within life. So it's important for all of us to know who our heirs will be when I die. Today, if I die today, who will get how much from my property? So that I can make the right decisions about my will and my bequest. If I have a relative, I want them to get something, I can give them something out of my bequest. Or sometimes I might feel that a certain heir of mine probably needs more and is not getting enough, then I can make some decisions within my life and give them something right now. Now let's talk about writing the will down. In the Islamic law, it's enough to have 2 witnesses who are unbiased, unrelated, and not getting the benefit from the will directly. So have those 2 witnesses listen and hear you out, and then they can tell to others after taking an oath that this is what the person said before they died. But it's still encouraged to write it down, because then it becomes even more consolidated and it becomes a legal document as well. Follow the local laws of the land. Some countries require a certain way that the will has to be written, on a certain type of paper or document, or it has to be signed by a certain number of witnesses, an executor or an attorney. Do all those steps that are needed to have it legally valid. Because what happens is that some people might take it to the court, and over there your other piece of paper or your verbal will not have any value. So write it down and follow the local laws. You can make the bequest of up to 1/3, and in certain non-Islamic countries, non-Muslim countries, where the default will be the state laws of how they decide the next of kin and your heirs. In those countries, you should write it down, specify that out of my property, this person should get this percentage, this will get this percentage, and so on, based on your Islamic laws of inheritance. Or you could say something like this, that distribute my wealth based on the principles or the laws of Islamic laws of inheritance. Put this down in your will so that there is enough substance there so that people after you can execute it in an Islamic way. Otherwise, the onus falls on the heirs, which the state and the law of the land gives the money to. Now it's up to them if they want to follow Islamic laws of inheritance or instructions and give to the other relatives who have due share or not. And that's something you don't want to do. What if they don't do it? And then the sin is on you as well. So with that, to summarize, if you want to write something down, do it quickly. Don't delay it. Be just. Figure out who are your heirs today so you can make the right choices about your financial matters in this life, and also think of all other people who you can consider giving a bequest at the time of your death. In the next video, we're going to talk about some other matters that can come up when dealing with laws of inheritance, and we're going to address some frequently asked questions. See you there.